And here's a demo of my ground collision avoidance system. Oh no. Poor Anakin. Well, at least Obi-Wan's still holding on. Ah, well, shoot.
Simple walk. Simple walk.
Hey folks, I've been asked before how I do the detailed LEGO builds that I'm known for on the SR2 website, and today I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at that process. I created a time lapse of the build for this XJ-6 Airspeeder that I just posted yesterday. In total, the build took me about 90 minutes, but I've sped it up 32x to make it watchable. Before I show you that, I want to demonstrate some of the upgrades that I've made to my standard hover program. First, the biggest upgrade is the introduction of full PID control over pitch, yaw, and roll inputs so that the craft operates fully without locking the heading. The main reason I did this is because when you lock heading with a rocket configured craft, the pitch and yaw control really well with autopilot, but the roll gets wonky, eventually leading to hover instability. If you've used any of my other Star Wars crafts, you'll see exactly what I mean. Now, with this new PID system, the craft autocorrects all three values, giving you a really smooth and reliable experience. Second, I introduced a ground collision avoidance system that only works at reasonable speeds, as you saw in the intro. Most of the time it can prevent a catastrophic accident. Third, and most important, I introduced some new backend scripting that is intended to ensure consistent performance regardless of frame rate. My crafts can be pretty high part count sometimes, meaning they run differently across all devices. My hope is that this new bit of code accounts for those differences and gives everyone an equal experience. In order to demonstrate how this craft operates at different settings, I'm just going to go ahead and change my frame rate here down to the minimum, 15 Hertz, and show you that even at that setting, even though it's looking really choppy, I can still make the same types of turns. It's just the graphics are not as good at that level, but I'm still able to fly the craft. It looks a lot better when I'm flying it in this mode. So you can see the turns are still pretty smooth. It just activates that collision avoidance system a little bit more often. The collision avoidance is those little puffs of blue that you see every once in a while and how the craft just jumps straight up. What that's saying is if the craft goes below a certain height, it just pumps as much energy into those upward engines as possible to avoid a collision with the ground. I'll show you that in action as we go. All right, I'm going to demo that collision avoidance system now. I'm going to keep the throttle pretty low at about 20%, and we'll just wait till we see some hills and you can see the system start to activate. All right, you'll see as we approach this hill here, it should activate that collision avoidance system. There you go. Had to activate it 3 times just to keep it from hitting that hill, but it worked perfectly. So again, if you put this thing up to full throttle, you're not exactly going to get the results you want. So keep it slow. One more thing I want to point out with this craft is that you'll notice as I turn, the craft is banking in the direction of the turn. That's not actually essential, but I added it as a cosmetic feature because it gives the feeling of flying an aircraft while still giving the responsiveness and agility of a futuristic spacecraft. I just love the way that it looks. And if you pull this thing up to really high heights, it just seems like it's totally gliding through the air. All right, I've had a lot of fun testing and flying this thing around, so much so that I actually did a grand tour of the coastline near this Herschel base in ESS. For now, I'm going to show you the build time lapse so you can get a feel for how I put these crafts together. Definitely stick around to the end to see that coastline tour, and I'd appreciate a comment to let me know how I'm doing with this content. I'm always looking for feedback, and I want to make sure I'm making content that the community likes. Thanks, guys, for the support. See you next time.